So check this out, people. So today I want to talk about living large, right? You know how everybody wants to live large, right? Everybody wants to live the diamond life, right? Nobody wants to be poor. Nobody wants to struggle, right? Everybody wants the best. That's nature, right? Don't nobody want to struggle. It's just human nature. Everybody wants things easy, right? And so in life, sometimes we people, right, we make things harder than they need to be because most of the time we don't have to struggle, right? We don't have to struggle because we don't have to live beyond our means, right? I had a girlfriend once, and she was an Italian girl who lived in a four-bedroom house with her mother, father, big basement, huge backyard with a swimming pool and a pond, everything, the whole nine, right? And I've never been the type of guy who wants to live big, right? At least not inside, right? I'm okay with a one bedroom apartment or a studio apartment with a nice bed, a nice TV, and a good radio system. That's it. And I'm happy, right? I don't need any more than that. Why? Why do I need a four-bedroom house? I live by myself. I'm alone, right? I already raised my kids. So why do I have to live beyond my means and spend more to live more, right? When I can spend less on bills by living small because I'm by myself, right? And I can drive a better car because I got money in my pocket because I'm not spending on bills. Or I can travel. I can drive my shitty car, let's say, to the nearest airport with a pocket full of money. Why? Because while everybody else is financing, I'm driving my shitty car, right? And I don't have any payments on it. And so I'm not trying to impress nobody, right? The problem with people is that we're always trying to impress somebody. And I don't care about how others live or don't live, right? That Italian girl who I used to date, every time I would drive past the house, right, when we were together, a small house, like a ranch house, it doesn't even need a basement. Hell, not even a bedroom, just a simple studio ranch house with a loft, right? I'm happy. And she would say to me, "You don't think big. Why do you think so small?" That's what she would say to me, right? She was one of those women who were full of herself, who would rather be in debt, right? Pleasing those around her so that she can show off her fancy house, which she's never going to pay off in her lifetime, right? Or her kids' lifetime, right? I'm not trying to live like that. If she wants to be in debt, fine. If the woman I'm with wants to be in debt, let her be in debt. But I'm not going to allow someone to put me into debt just so that I can impress them, right? I'm going to make myself comfortable because if I'm comfortable, the person who is with me will be comfortable, right? Because she has a comfortable bed, a nice sized television, a music system. We got everything we need. It's cool when it's hot outside, it's warm when it's cold outside, right? And rather than having to pay $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month on rent when I live alone, I might as well spend some $700 or $800 on a small studio apartment where I'm fine by myself. I'm just here to sleep, right? And so I'd rather spend less inside where I live in bills so that I can have more in my pocket so that I can do more outside of my home. Like travel, right? Like get into my car, fill it with gas, and just drive for hours without having to worry about how much gas I got in my tank or whether or not I can afford it, right? There's nothing worse than every time you buy something, you got to check the receipt. You got to look at your money. You got to look at your card to see how much you spend or how much you got left, right? There was a time when I would go shopping and I would just shop. I would just buy. I didn't have to look at anything. Everything was pretty much within range, right? But now everything is pretty much expensive, right? And so if you want to live large, if you want to live large, people, keep it down, right? Keep it down inside the home, inside of where you live. Now, if you're okay with living large inside of your home, then more power to you. If you're okay with working every day, coming home, being home, not going nowhere, not doing anything, because all you do is put your money into the mortgage, into taxes, into all kinds of bills, and that's how you want to live, more power to you. There are people who are happy just working and being home. And if that's how you want to live and die, great. Me, I don't want to live and die on a recliner with a beer in my hand watching Netflix. That's not how I want to go out. Like, I want to be on a plane, traveling the world, seeing what's out there, because I didn't squander my money or live beyond my means, you know? I mean, we don't live in the 1980s anymore. Back in the day, when with one paycheck, I could pay my rent and still have $200 left over for next week, right? We can't do that anymore. And so don't try to impress anybody with the way you live or how you live or how you dress. Worry about whether or not your car will start up every morning when you turn it on, right? That's all that matters. Whether or not your car can get you to work, whether or not you can make it to work every day, and whether or not you can pay your bills. As long as you can take care of yourself, then you can take care of everybody else. But if you can't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to do for anybody. That's just the way it is, right? And so, you know, I'm at the point now where I got one more month before I fly back to the Philippines, and this time I don't think I'm coming back because things are too expensive here in the US. I don't want to work to, to survive. And even though I can make my life comfortable here without a problem, I don't want to focus and put my mind on here, right? So that I can focus on the things that I want to do outside of the country, which is travel, right? So if I allow myself to get comfortable and to focus on work and making money, then, I'm going to move away from my dream, which is to retire young, which I did. I retired very young. And there's no reason for me to be working. So this time, I think I'm actually done. So I'm going to go back to the Philippines and I'm just going to chill, man. I'm going to do what I should have done. I didn't even have to come back here to do the things that I was doing over there. But, that's life. You do what you got to do. And then if there's a setback, you work it out and you get back on your feet and you keep moving. And that's life, right? So remember, people, don't impress nobody. You don't have to impress nobody. You know how I impress people? When they see the type of car I'm driving, right? And they may not like the type of car I drive because it ain't good enough for them, right? Women are, a lot of them are very superficial, right? But I don't care. If she doesn't like what I drive, she can take the bus or have some other guy pick her up in his fancy car, right? And I can drive my shitty car to the nearest airport with a pocket full of money and drive to Southeast Asia and crash out there for a year or two, right? See the difference? And so what are your priorities? Are your priorities to work in order to survive, or are your priorities work so that you can live life, right? Because in the end, what do you have, right? You have a home that you're going to pay on for 20, 30 years, and you still won't pay off till you're 70. And if you're lucky, you can retire by 70, and maybe your kids will take over the mortgage, right? And the debt, because that's all you're going to work for. And so, we have to think and be smart. Forget what people think. forget what people say. I don't care what people wear, how they live. I have friends who have amazing houses, who drive Corvettes, BMWs, Lexuses, and all kinds of fancy cars, and they're living large, right? But that's their way of living large, right? My way of living large is living small at home and then flying overseas, which is something they've never experienced, right? You see, I've never experienced their lifestyle here in the US, where they have all of these expensive homes and all of these fancy cars and all of this money, right? Because this is America, right? So we can work towards these things, right? So more power to those who have those things, right? And so I don't want to put myself in debt, right? I don't want to get into debt. I don't want to lock myself into, or I don't want to dig my roots into a mortgage for 30 years that I know I'm never going to pay off, ever, right? So there's no point. And there are people who are okay with that because that's their lifestyle. And my lifestyle is to work, put my money away, right? Invest it and go away and travel the world and see what's out there and enjoy new people, new cultures, new food, and, you know, different things that are going on. So in the end, it's all about how you want to live, right? But you can't do it by trying to impress anybody. The only person you got to impress is yourself. The only person you have to look out for is yourself. Because if you do these things, then the people who need you will have you when they need you, because you're okay. And when you're okay, those around you are going to be okay too. So thank you, people, for watching. Have a good day and have a good night.